Okay, so let's be honest. Have you ever had one of those days where you feel like your manager just doesn't get it? Where the communication feels totally broken? You might think, wow, this person is the problem. But what if I told you the real issue isn't the person at all, but the system they're stuck in? Let's dive into that because what's really going on behind the scenes of modern management is pretty fascinating. We have all been there. You get that piece of feedback, that vague, impossible instruction from a manager. Just handle it nicely. It's the kind of thing that leaves you more confused than when you started. It's not just unhelpful, it's maddening. And it happens all the time. So that's the big question, right? Why is this so common? Is the world just filled with bad managers? Or is there something deeper going on, something systemic, that's pushing otherwise good people into these terrible communication habits? Well, that's exactly what we're going to investigate. And that brings us to our first major clue. All the evidence points to one conclusion. The problem isn't the person wearing the manager's hat, it's the hat itself. The actual position of a manager in today's world is, frankly, broken. And listen, this isn't just employees complaining. Get this. A full 65% of both HR leaders and managers say that the excessive burden on middle management is their single biggest organizational problem. They are feeling the squeeze just as much as their teams are, if not more. And this whole mess, it actually has a name. It's called the playing manager. This is the manager who's expected to lead their team, do all the management stuff, while also being an individual contributor with their own list of tasks. They're basically doing two jobs at once. They're a player on the field and the coach on the sideline at the exact same time. The result? Well, experts have a term for it: time poverty. And it's no joke. Over 43% of these playing managers are clocking in more than 200 hours a month. I mean, with a workload like that, there are literally not enough hours in the day to do both jobs well. And that forces a really, really tough choice. So here it is, the impossible trade-off. A big deadline is coming up. What gets sacrificed? It's always the human stuff, isn't it? Dialogue, one-on-ones, mentoring, just basic emotional care. That's the first thing to get pushed aside. And if they do choose to prioritize the people, well, then their own numbers, their targets, their personal evaluation, that's what suffers. It is a total lose-lose situation. And this has a direct and dangerous consequence. When that dialogue is lost, an employee's anxiety doesn't just vanish. No, it festers. It starts as a small, unprocessed worry, which then spirals into a negative interpretation of, well, everything. Pretty soon, they start thinking, what's the use in speaking up? That's learned helplessness. Then comes disengagement. And then one day, boom, they suddenly resign, and the manager is left completely blindsided, wondering what on earth just happened. You see, this systemic pressure, it doesn't just mess up the workflow. It has a huge psychological impact. It actively breaks down the relationships between managers and their teams, and it sows seeds of division and mistrust. There's actually an academic concept that explains this perfectly. It's called leader-member exchange theory, or LMX for short. And what it says is that because managers have such limited time and energy, they naturally, sometimes unconsciously, form a close in-group of trusted reports, which means everyone else falls into the out-group. And here's what that looks like in the real world. Someone from the in-group makes a mistake, and the reaction is, hey, it happens. Let's figure this out together. But when someone from the out-group makes the exact same mistake, they're met with blame, with criticism. You're so careless. Why didn't you double-check? This isn't really about fairness anymore. It's about relational bandwidth. And it absolutely destroys a team's sense of psychological safety. And under the crushing pressure of being a playing manager, this whole dynamic can escalate from just simple favoritism into something way more toxic: abusive supervision. The stress and the lack of time just become a trigger for really destructive behavior. And that's when you start to see the behaviors of what some people call a crusher boss. They take credit for your work, they shift blame for their mistakes, they call people out in public. But here's the thing that's so critical to understand. Oftentimes, this isn't a person who is just a jerk. It's a person who has been crushed by the system, and now they're just passing that pressure down the line. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just about hurt feelings or a team that doesn't get along. The silence and the communication breakdown that this system creates, well, it has a massive, tangible cost to the entire organization. So when an employee leaves, the cost isn't just the fee you pay a recruiter. The total cost includes recruitment, sure, and training, but the real killer, the massive hidden cost, is the opportunity loss. All the projects that stall, all the momentum that just dies. It's huge. When you look at the breakdown, it's pretty stark. Recruitment and training costs, yeah, they're significant, but they are absolutely dwarfed by the value that's lost while a position sits empty and a new person has to get up to speed. Every one of those silent resignations is a massive financial drain on the company. And sometimes the cost is even more direct and public. This is from a real-world case where a single social media post from a frustrated employee went viral. It damaged the company's reputation so badly that it actually hit their stock price. In our world today, internal problems do not stay internal for very long. So what does this all lead to? It creates a culture of rational silence. And I want you to focus on that word rational. This isn't about people being shy or scared. It's about them making a very logical calculation in their head that the personal risk of speaking up about a problem is way, way greater than any potential reward. So they stay quiet, and the organization just slowly rots from the inside out. So is this whole situation hopeless? No, absolutely not. But the solution isn't just sending managers to another communications workshop. The real solution requires a fundamental rethinking of what a manager's job is supposed to be in the first place. What we need is a complete paradigm shift. We have to move away from this old model of the manager as a director, the person who gives all the orders and controls the whole process. The new model, the one that works, is the manager as a supporter, someone whose primary job is to remove obstacles and empower their team to do their absolute best work. So, where do you start? With small, practical, concrete steps. First, start treating employee anxiety like any other work task. Put it on the agenda, talk about it, and decide on a next action. Second, have a one-issue per meeting rule. Don't jumble up conversations about goals, feedback, and feelings all into one messy meeting. And finally, be relentlessly, obsessively clear about what needs to be done, by when, and what good actually looks like. But the most crucial takeaway of all is this. If you have a communication problem on your team, please stop trying to fix the person. Instead, start by looking at the pressures of their role. The solution is never about finding better people. It's about designing a better, more sustainable system. And that leaves us with one final question for you to really think about. In your own workplace, what are the things that nobody is talking about? What is that small, rational silence that might just be the first sign of a much, much bigger problem?